Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here taking a look at Skyforce Anniversary. Although strangely enough it's just called Skyforce here, but if I hit home and go to the left and scroll all the way down, there it is. So, let's go and have a look at it, shall we? This is originally an Android game. Well, not an Android game, it was originally came out on Palm and Symbian, like 2004, 2005, then it got enhanced ports, and then it got sequels and stuff like that, but whatever. You've got cloud save, language, sounds, music, and the credits, obviously. Not much else other than that, though. You can check the high scores of your friends and the weekly tournament, which is interesting. I don't know why there isn't tournaments going on constantly. Like, you'll see what that means in a minute. You can check my stats here. This is after about an hour and a half of playtime, more or less. So, yeah, just so you know. And it shows you some helpful things here, but really it's nothing you can't figure out by yourself, so we'll just ignore that. If we go and hit start, it'll pop us into the level select screen. So we've got a few things we can do here. We can't do the tournament, unfortunately. The tournament only happens on weekends. I don't understand why that's a thing. Like, why not have a tournament every 24 hours or something? I don't know. If we come to the hangar, we can spend stars that we saved up, and stars unlock things like different weapon types, different power-ups, makes everything you have stronger, etc, etc, etc. The unfortunate thing being that a lot of this costs an absolute ton of stars, and that the first hour of the game that you do will be spent grinding a lot, because you are nowhere near powerful enough to get anything done on the basic set, except maybe finish the first mission if you're lucky. You'd be lucky to pull that off. It's not like Darius Burst where every ship is capable of getting through to the end of the stages. No, no, no. This game requires you to upgrade constantly, and it's kind of one of the big sticking points of the game for me. We'll play on stage 3 first, so we can at least have a little bit of an idea of how the game works. Every stage has 4 different kinds of medals, and they're all listed on the screen there. They don't change, which is unfortunate. I would have liked it better if they had gone with some more interesting objectives, like having a particular enemy like fly across the screen and need to kill them or something like that. Just something that makes it more interesting, really, because destroy all enemies, destroy most of the enemies, don't get hurt, and rescue everyone. Every single mission gets a little bit boring after a while. Loading times aren't exactly bad, but if you're looking away from your Vita at the time, you might not notice that the little loading thing down the bottom there has disappeared and has been replaced with a little thing on there that says press X to go to the level. A little annoying. But anyway, away we go. So, Skyforce Anniversary is really simple. Reminds me a lot of 1942, if you haven't played that. It's an old arcade game from the I guess it's from the early 80s at this point. Makes me feel old, because I actually really like 1942, but yeah, it reminds me a lot of that. The idea is you're scrolling up, and you need to kill as many of the enemies as possible. Enemies drop fire rate power-ups, and they also drop stars, and the stars are your upgrades. And as you might imagine, every single one of those is a star. Like, it's just 1 star. There are bigger stars, they'll give you like 5, but for the most part, it's mainly just like 1 star a piece. And you upgrade really slowly in this game. Like, as you saw before, the main... Ow, I ran right into that because I'm an idiot. The amount of stars that you get from a typical level roughly ranges around the 100 mark. And when you find a level that gives you a ton of stars, you tend to want to grind that level, because if you want to get your upgrades even remotely quickly, you want to be grinding the levels that give you the most stars. And unfortunately, that gets boring as sin too, but you kind of need to do it. Because the way the game works is that those 4 objectives that we talked about a minute or so ago, you need to do those in order to actually unlock the next sets of levels. When I go back to the main menu, I'll be able to show that, because I didn't actually show that, but you need a specific amount of medals in order to get to the next stage, which is the most infuriating thing in the world, honestly, because you do not have the power that you need in order to actually get the objectives done the first time around. Like, the first time you go through the first level, you do not have the resources you need to kill 100% of the enemies, and you'll be pretty lucky if you can manage to kill 70%. Also, good luck not getting hit, so you have to replay the level to do that. Also, good luck saving all the people, because despite the fact that the game looks really nice and runs really well, seeing these little sons of bitches is actually surprisingly difficult. Like, they are small and they are red. Sure, they get these little speech bubbles that pop up, but if you're not focused around the area where those guys tend to pop up, they can be very hard to see. So, yeah, I just saw the very edge of that speech bubble right there, right? So if I didn't see that, I probably wouldn't have been able to rescue that guy at all. It's unfortunate. Like, they could have made him stand out just a little bit more. Maybe kept that speech bubble there, but like semi-translucent, so that you have an idea of where the enemy is the whole time, or where the friendly, I should say, is the whole time, because it really just does get hard to see if you miss that initial speech bubble, and it's kind of a pain. Also, I've noticed that some people might like score attacking. Well, unfortunately, the way this game works is that the more of those objectives you do, the more points you get on repeated runs. So if you get every objective done on a level, it'll give you a 5 times multiplier every time you play through. So the only way you're going to be able to play for score is if you've successfully managed to, is if you successfully managed to get all 5 of the, well, all 4 of those objectives and get the level 5 multiplier. And the hard versions of the missions, which you unlock when you get all 4 medals on one mission, give you like 8 or 9 times, like the level starts off with like 3 times multiplier, and then you get multiplier on top for all the objectives you complete in that version of the level, because they're different between normal and hard. So you end up just having to repeat the same levels over and over again in order to get the upgrades and stuff that you need. It's really grindy. It reminds me a lot of a mobile game. Sure, you can't buy the stars, and playing like the first level on hard is a really good way to get an absolute ton of stars really quickly. And I just missed that guy, but they don't give you stars or anything, they just give you points, so it's not like it matters unless you're going specifically for that medal. So, unless you really like grinding, I wouldn't recommend picking this game up. Here comes the boss, by the way. Basically, you just have to destroy all the parts of the boss, and then you have to just, you know, like, well, you win, basically. Destroy all the parts of the boss, and then just hammer away at the floating or drifting corpse, and you'll win the stage, basically. This is how it works for pretty much every stage. So yeah, if you're not a fan of grinding, picking this game up probably isn't a good idea, because this game is grind city. It's kind of ridiculous. Especially early on, because when you're playing the game to start off with, you don't have access to the second and third cannons on the left and right, and you don't have access to the little missiles that are popping out of the side. So enemies take a really long time to kill, and you can't possibly hit every single enemy. So you end up just having to play through the levels over and over again in order to get the good upgrades. And it's honestly really frustrating, because the shooting itself, it doesn't do anything particularly new, but what it does do, it does well enough that I'm really not too fussed by the actual gameplay. It's just the upgrading that really pisses me off, honestly, just because it takes so long to get anywhere. But yeah, I've finished, well, I haven't finished stage 4 yet, but as you can see, you have to finish the previous stage and you have to get additional medals. And you do have to get all 4 medals on a stage at some point, because you need to get the hard stages unlocked, because you need to at least do some of the previous stages on hard in order to actually get the medals you need to unlock the final stage. And it's kind of frustrating, because this game isn't a game that really has that much, what's the word I'm looking for, variety. Because most of the enemies stay the same for the most part, at least in the 4 stages that I've played. So you end up just playing the same stages with the same enemies over and over again, trying to grind stars so that you can get slightly better weapons, so that you can get more medals and unlock more stages. It's just, it's really frustrating because the game looks good, runs well, and the shooting itself, while not being absolutely spectacular, is alright. I mean, it's nothing that I can really complain about, more or less. It does what you expect a shooter to do. And I'm really not too fussed by it. It's just, it's this upgrade system and this medal system. If either one of the upgrade or the medal systems didn't exist, I'd like this game a lot more. Like, being able to play through all the stages, or maybe just even a little bit more variety. Like, the way Darius Burst engages me so much is because every boss is really different. And it's quite fun. I mean, some of the bullet patterns on these enemies are different, sure, don't get me wrong, but they don't feel as different as a game like Darius Burst. And of course, with Darius Burst, you've got the 9 different ships, and you have to handle every engagement differently. But in this game, you've only got one ship, at least as far as I can tell. Might be more later on, but I mean, when you've got like the game going, like when you are about to jump into the stage, it has to prompt you to press X while you're flying in the clouds. And it's like, why would it prompt me to do that? Is there like an extra ship that I can unlock that goes there? I don't know for sure. But yeah, it lacks variety, and this upgrade system just kind of hammers that home, which is unfortunate. And the medal system hammers it home too, because you have to play through the same stages again and again and again to try not to get hit for one of the medal types. And again, you do have to start doing this for every single stage eventually, because you need to get 4 medals on a stage to unlock the hard mode, and to get the, latest stages unlocked. If there was like an arcade mode where I could play through the game, buy upgrades with stars, have the star costs be much reduced to make up for that sort of thing, I would enjoy this game a hell of a lot more, honestly. But right now, this upgrade system is just a pain in the ass, honestly, and it feels like that they'd be charging for this. It feels like Big Sky Infinity, but the difference between Big Sky Infinity and this is that you don't need to upgrade your weapons to a specific point to see all the content. In this game you do, because you will not have the firepower to get through the stage without either dying or missing a bunch of medals, and if you miss a bunch of medals, you can't get to the next stage. So, yeah. It's just a compound of what feels like systems taken from a mobile phone game. Like, considering this was, should I say, originally a mobile phone game, I can understand where it comes from, but at the same time, it's just frustrating having to play through these stages over and over again. Which is a shame, because the shooting itself is really good. The game runs really well and looks really nice. This full 3D look from the top to the bottom of the screen, just this perspective here looks really nice. A lot of boards can get on screen without things slowing down, but it does have performance issues from time to time, but nothing particularly bad that I've run into at this point. It's an alright shooter. Like, the price they ask for is $10. If there was like an arcade mode, or maybe a little bit of extra variety, or just like, if they were able to remove like the upgrade system, or just balance it so that you could go through the game a little bit more naturally, I'd be a much bigger fan of it, honestly. But right now, it just seems...
Congratulations on destroying the power plant.
I didn't even do anything. But it really just seems like that they could have done something that flowed a little better, and something that didn't require as much stopping and grinding for upgrades as much as it is right now. It's a fun game with a crappy little upgrade system, really. Maybe there's more later on, but considering I've played an hour and a half and they've decided not to show it to me yet, well, I just can't help but be disappointed, honestly. And look, it's this same boss again, more or less. The bullet pattern's probably a little different, but yeah, there's a couple more turrets on the plane wings, but yeah, it's basically the same boss. I mean, the game's $10, so maybe I'm complaining just a little bit too much for a game that's only $10. And considering it's only 9 stages, and the 9 stages are only a few minutes each, I guess I can understand why they would want the game to have some longevity to it, but I feel like it could have been done better. Yeah.
Game over.
You really do need to upgrade your health, but I did actually get the medals for that, so, you know, it doesn't penalize you if you die, but at the same time, if you get to the end of a level, if you can't get to the end of the level and you die, you can't get the 100% medal. You can't get the 100% medal anyway, and even then you can't get the don't get hit medal anyway, so you at least get 2 medals. I'll go play stage 1 on hard after I upgrade some stuff. Get the magnet. Oh, well, I can't get anything else other than the magnet now, but yeah. And there are other pickups you can get. You can get, like, the Mega Bomb, the Energy Shield, and the Laser. But again, look at those star costs. Those would take, like, 5 or 6 runs on a particularly good stage in order to get. And it's really annoying, too, because the price for unlocking them drops after you unlock them in the first place. So, like, the Magnet costs 500 stars to get, and now it costs 150 stars to upgrade it. And it's like, you could have made this cheaper, man. You could have, like, if they'd taken the initial grind out of it and made it so that it was really easy to get a hold of all the basic weapons, then maybe the game would be a lot better. But you spend the first hour with this piss-weak cannon just trying to get through these repetitive stages, and it really takes the enthusiasm out of me. It really makes me not want to play the game anymore, and that's kind of disappointing, honestly. Because the graphical style is really good, and the voice acting's actually alright, all things considered. It's a $10 indie game. So, it's just disappointing that the game is as grindy as it is, but if you don't have a problem with that, it's well worth your time to pick up, because it's a fun little 1942 remembrance game. I don't mind it. It's really quite neat for what it is. Just can't help but be a little bit disappointed in the way the upgrades work. This stage is pretty short, so I'll just finish it off and then we'll just cut the video. The upgrade voice actually reminds me of Super Stardust.
Nice.
Those little weapon upgrade things I'm picking up just increase the fire rate of your cannon. They don't increase, like, the damage or anything like that. It's a bit weird. Like, they have this in-game pickup system, and then they have a out-of-game upgrade system at the same time. It's just a little odd. Usually you don't see the 2 in one game, you see one or the other. As you can see, the stage is a lot easier, but it's also a lot harder because you take more damage, and the enemy planes have been customized just a tiny little bit. They act slightly differently. But again, just like, I don't see any reason why they couldn't have had, like, alternate objectives as part of the hard mode. Seems like something that make the most sense to me. Like, have, like, a more unique set of objectives for, like, think about it. Like, easy mode could be take out 70% of the enemies. Hard mode could be take out 100% of the enemies. Easy mode could be take 1 hit. Hard mode could be take no hits. It could just be slightly more interesting if they decided to do it that way, you know? Different objectives would have been really nice. And yeah, this is the boss of the level, so we're almost done here. Makes me want to play some Crimson Clover, actually. Bluey.
Stage complete.
So yeah, 312 stars, you can see there. So yeah, basically I'd just be repeating the stage over and over again to get lots of stars, because this is a really short stage, and it gets easier to do when you get better weapons. So yeah. That was a quick look at Skyforce Anniversary. It's a decent shooter and a decent throwback to the 1942 games. If only it wasn't for that upgrade system. And the unvaried objectives. If you don't mind that sort of system though, it only costs $10, so it's probably worth your time to pick up. Although they could definitely do to add a little bit more variety on as well. So this has been Blue Maxima, and I'll see you all next time.